My mother, Lovey, spent a significant portion of my money on my sister Jessica's wedding, but I intervened by freezing the account. I find myself in a challenging situation where both my mom and sister have been exploiting me for an extended period, and it has now reached a breaking point. Despite my desire to put a stop to their actions, I am hesitant because cutting them off completely might make life difficult for them. Tired of constantly yielding to their demands, I am Elizabeth Lale and my age is 38 years and married individual with two lovely kids, my daughter Emily and son Ethan, residing in Ohio for 6 years since my marriage. Originally from Houston, my childhood was marked by the divorce of my parents when I was 5. My dad left when I was 10, citing doubts about my sister's paternity as the reason for the split. My parents' divorce left me facing a tough childhood. Dad relinquished the house to Mom that supported my education while neglecting my sister. Despite his occasional presence during my school days, it wasn't until I reached out during high school that our relationship deepened. He even attended my wedding, despite my mother's disapproval. Over time, my bond with my dad strengthened, leading to 2 visits to Ohio before he succumbed to illness last year. This closeness, however, caused friction with my mom, who distanced herself. My dad, after divorcing my mom, remarried but had no additional children, consistently emphasizing that I was his only daughter. This, coupled with inheriting a $400,000 trust fund, deepened the resentment from my mom and sister. Dad's financial support allowed me to access better education, schools, and colleges, shaping a superior life. The trust fund, intended for my education, has become a source of contention, as my mom and sister continually ask for financial assistance. While growing up, I wasn't mistreated but felt isolated from their close relationship. My intelligence and assertiveness prevented easy manipulation, perhaps explaining why my mom never mistreated me. Presently, the $400,000 inheritance poses a dilemma, with my mom and sister persistently seeking financial aid. Despite our emotional distance, I've supported them financially due to our familial ties and their limited income. Although not emotionally close, they have never been unkind to me. A few months ago, my mom called, expressing a desire to renovate our deteriorating house. The walls, ceilings, and floors had suffered damage over the years, and maintenance had been neglected since Dad's departure. The financial strain made it difficult to address issues like peeling paint, faulty wiring, and deteriorating structural elements. Living there, especially during storms, had become increasingly challenging for my mom. She went to the bank to request a loan, but the interest rates were exorbitant. I sensed her desire for me to fund the renovations, but neither of us broached the subject directly. The conversation became awkward, leading me to ignore her subsequent calls. Though she rarely contacted me, last month proved an exception with 3 or 4 calls. When I finally answered, my mom revealed that our house was unsafe due to its deteriorating condition in inclement weather. This time, she directly asked for money, promising to repay gradually. Stunned, she requested $100,000, but I couldn't lend that much. Despite my initial reluctance, I agreed to lend $50,000. Later, I realized I may have been too hasty in offering such a substantial amount. My husband Robert suggested a phased approach, monitoring the progress of the renovations before providing more funds. I informed my mom that I would send $50,000 in parts. Reactivating an old account in Houston, I transferred $10,000 there, giving her access. When she questioned why I didn't deposit directly into her account, I concocted an excuse, attributing it to my husband's suggestion. I harbored doubts about her repayment, but only time will tell. In an update, I expressed frustration at my inability to discern how my mom and sister attempted to exploit me for easy money. After 2 months and $20,000 later, I decided not to provide any more funds. While they were only nice to me for my money, the extent of their deceit shocked me. Discovering my sister's grand wedding through a friend, with a guest list of around 100, was particularly hurtful. Not being informed or invited intensified the pain. Concerns mounted when I checked the account designated for the house renovations, finding it empty. Despite my mom's claim of hiring a renovation company, the work had not commenced. The realization that they might be using my money for the wedding instead of the renovations disgusted me. Contemplating a trip to Houston, I opted to call my aunt instead. She confirmed my sister's wedding but disclosed that she, too, was excluded from the guest list.
Recalling that 6 months ago, my mom requested $20,000 for knee surgery, I inquired about the hospital details. Caught off guard, she struggled to recall any specifics, later claiming a network issue and turning off her phone. Her subsequent silence raised suspicions that the money meant for her knee surgery might have funded the renovations and was now contributing to my sister's wedding. I discovered that my sister got engaged on our front lawn with elaborate decorations and wine. The revelation left me feeling like I had been kept in the dark about their lavish lifestyle, while they pretended to be in need to extract money from me. Frustrated with their deceit, I decided to cut them off. I ceased sending money to their account, ignoring calls and texts from my mom. Even my sister, who never reached out before, attempted to contact me, but I refused to engage. I had grown tired of their lies and manipulations, and I believed that my financial standing and the inheritance left by my dad did not grant them the right to exploit me. In an update, my suspicions were confirmed when my mom, unable to reach me, called my husband. Despite my warning, he spoke to her and revealed that I was aware of their deception. He disclosed that the money was intended for my sister's wedding, not the house renovations as claimed. I was infuriated, wanting them to face the consequences of their actions. My husband's candor also unveiled my mom's deception regarding the knee surgery funds, aggravating the situation. Apologetic messages and calls flooded my phone afterward, with my mom insisting it was a misunderstanding. Torn between anger and a desire for the truth, I agreed to talk to my mom on the condition that she be completely honest. During our conversation, she confessed that my sister wanted a grand wedding but lacked the funds. The idea was to use the pretext of house renovations to extract money from me, believing I wouldn't know about the already completed renovations. I questioned why they didn't ask directly for wedding expenses, and my mom claimed my sister preferred not to seek a direct favor. Frustrated, I confronted her about the knee surgery money, and she fell silent. I pressed on, revealing that I knew the extent of their deception. Learning the truth left me devastated, recalling the betrayal I felt when my dad passed away. 2 days later, I received a voicemail from my mom requesting the remaining money to continue planning the wedding. The request disgusted me to the core, and I considered screaming at her. Their selfishness became apparent as they didn't even extend an invitation to the wedding. Frustrated and disillusioned, I decided to block both of them. I also warned my husband against any further communication with them, emphasizing the consequences of disobedience. The severity of the situation was reflected in my determination to keep my distance, maintaining contact only with my aunt, who revealed that the wedding was scheduled for next month. I refrained from informing my mom about the money, fully aware that both she and my sister were facing increasing struggles to orchestrate the grand wedding they desired. In the third update, persistent calls and voicemails requesting money continued until the wedding day. Despite the emotional pressure, I held my ground and didn't give in. On the wedding day itself, my mom's last voicemail disowned me, causing immense pain. I couldn't hold back the tears, shedding them in front of my husband. Some might label me as mean for disrupting my sister's wedding, and my mom accused me of arrogance and selfishness. However, she failed to acknowledge the consequences of her prolonged deception. A friend, whose husband was the wedding planner, called on the wedding day to disclose that the event might be canceled due to non-payment. I learned that they had paid $20,000 so far, which seemed sufficient for a decent wedding. However, my sister had extravagant plans, ordering fancy decorations and food, with the venue alone costing $20,000. When asked if I was attending, I declined, citing other plans. My friend understood the strained relationship I had with my mom and sister. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt for potentially ruining my sister's big day. Contemplating giving the remaining money to my friend, I remembered my mom's voicemail disowning me, leading me to question the purpose of helping them if they were willing to cast me aside. I turned off my phone and spent the day with my kids to divert my mind. The next day, my friend shared her frustration, revealing that the wedding reflected poorly on her husband's business. Despite their promises, my sister and mom hadn't paid the additional $10,000, leaving the wedding planner to shoulder the blame. Feeling embarrassed, I didn't know how to respond. My husband, however, stated they deserved the consequences for their dishonesty, and that I should not worry about them. The narrative took an unexpected turn when my husband confessed, under the influence of alcohol, that he was in love with my sister. We all had dinner together, followed by drinks and music. After my sister and her husband left, my husband and I continued drinking and eventually had sex. In our intoxicated state, he openly declared his feelings for my sister, expressing a desire to kiss her. Despite his probable intoxication, his words left me confused and upset, emotions that lingered into the next morning. I woke up sober and a flood of memories rushed back. My husband's shocking confession about being in love with my sister during a drunken moment. I feel shattered inside, yet he seems unperturbed, dealing only with a hangover. Unsure of how to proceed, I contemplate whether I should ignore his intoxicated words, considering his historically good relationship with my sister. Perhaps it was merely the alcohol talking. Should I wait for him to broach the subject, or was he too inebriated to recall? The situation becomes more complicated as I reflect on the intimacy we shared that night. It felt different, more passionate and loving, with him repeatedly expressing affection and admiration. This revelation coincides with my sister recently losing weight and looking stunning in a form-fitting dress, which seemingly brought her immense happiness. The details may be significant, and I'm uncertain why I mention them. Conflicted about how to approach this situation, I plan to discuss it with my husband when he's no longer hungover and can think clearly. I grapple with the notion that a drunk mind speaks sober thoughts, but I also acknowledge that alcohol can cloud judgment. Even if he denies his words, I wonder if I can truly move past this revelation. The idea of my husband and sister being together again makes me uncomfortable, potentially jeopardizing our marriage. Considering the possibility that he was expressing temporary attraction rather than genuine love, I seek advice from those who have experienced similar situations. Suggestions include engaging in open communication with my husband, exploring couples counseling, and seeking individual therapy to navigate this challenging situation. The consensus is that honest dialogue is crucial for understanding his feelings and determining the path forward. Some share personal experiences, cautioning against dismissing such confessions and emphasizing the importance of addressing the issue head-on. The consensus leans towards confronting my husband directly and gauging his reaction. Despite the ambiguity surrounding alcohol-induced revelations, many emphasize the need for clear communication and resolution. In an update, I express the difficulty of broaching the subject with my husband, who is acting as if nothing happened. The community encourages me to address the issue directly, considering the sincerity of his words during the intoxicated confession. Despite the emotional turmoil, I'm determined to have an honest conversation with him to gain clarity and make informed decisions about our future. Hello, it's been 3 days since my last update, and I've been grappling with conflicting emotions. On Sunday, I decided to talk to my husband about what happened. To my surprise, he claimed not to remember much from that night, especially after my sister and her husband left, and we continued drinking. When I shared his intoxicated confession, he didn't appear shocked. Rather, he insisted on having no recollection of saying anything. I pressed him on whether he had harbored these feelings before we started drinking, and he admitted to always having a fondness for my sister because of her kindness and warmth. He acknowledged finding her particularly beautiful that night, attributing it to her recent weight loss and increased confidence. According to him, it's normal for people to be curious about the opposite sex. When I questioned him about choosing between us, he was taken aback, asserting his love for me as his wife and the mother of his children. Frustrated, he expressed discomfort with hypothetical scenarios that could lead to unnecessary fights. Later that evening, he reassured me of his love and asked me not to overthink what he said in his intoxicated state. Despite his reassurances, I remain uncertain about everything. I am grateful for your advice and am considering seeking therapy on my own. The thought of his desire to stay connected with my sister influencing his decision to stay with me bothers me deeply. Imagining him being intimate with her while using me as a substitute for his feelings for her is an unbearable thought. These thoughts could persist and hinder my ability to feel connected during intimate moments with him. Given the close relationship between my sister and me, coupled with our proximity, I find myself obsessing over every interaction and mention of her. I wonder if he settled for being close to her by being with me. Now that he has admitted his feelings for my sister, it is challenging to believe what he's saying is true and not just my imagination. It feels impossible to move past this, as the knowledge of his emotions will forever linger in my mind. Trusting my instincts and standing up for myself seems paramount. In light of the situation, we've decided to start counseling. Moving forward, when I spend time with my sister, he won't be present. He confessed his feelings for her, asserting that he never acted on them in the past and won't in the future. The path ahead remains unclear, but we are taking steps to address the challenges in our relationship. Thank you so much for joining me on this roller coaster of emotions. If you enjoyed the story and want more engaging content, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support means the world to me. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. What twists surprise you the most? I'd love to hear your theories and reactions. Subscribe to the channel for more gripping narratives and stay updated on the latest stories. Click that bell icon so you never miss out on the next thrilling episode. If you found this story captivating, give it a thumbs up and let's aim for X likes for the next part. Your likes fuel my creativity. How would you like the story to unfold? Share your suggestions and let's create an epic narrative together. Thanks again for being an amazing part of this community. Until next time, stay curious, stay awesome.